I'm Linwood Sloan, Director of Arts, Culture, and Tourism for the City of Harrisburg, and the Director of Parks and Recreations, which is a drop-down, if you will, from our cultural offerings and our placemaking. This is the first of a series of brown bag lunches in the atrium. It's our opportunity to bring the atrium back as a crossroads for the city. This series is part of our Harrisburg Host series, and I'm happy to say that the mayor and his wife, First Lady, will be our co-chairs of Harrisburg Host. We want every one of you all to put out the welcome mat in your own homes and gather people together, saying we are proud to host our families, our friends, and our visitors in Harrisburg. So here we are in the first house, if you will, City Hall, and we're excited. May I ask, Mr. Mayor, would you like to say a few words, sir?
Sure. I would just say it is an honor to be here, and it is a great thing that we are returning this atrium to its original intended use, which was as a community gathering place where we could discuss the ideas of the day, and to see its return to that use, I think, is really exciting. Tomorrow night, or not tomorrow night, but next week, we will be having a vote on the budget, and we expect to have fully ratified for the first time not only a new economic development department, but also this new department of arts, culture, and tourism. So it is an exciting moment for Harrisburg. It is good to see everybody here, and I look forward to being able to enjoy the play.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and again, acknowledgments to our First Lady, who is co-chair of our Harrisburg Hosts, and we will be doing atrium events, 2 events a month. This is the very first one. The commercial about next week, Nate Gatson and his poetry workshop brings to the atrium a very wonderful program called We All Fall Down, which is a dramatic play about the 4 young girls who lost their lives in the Montgomery church burning. They will also bring an African children's choir to the atrium to resound off our walls next weekend. So be sure to grab a brown bag from around the many wonderful places here. I'd like to introduce Ann Ozeldek, who is with us from OpenStage, who brings us our very first program. Ann and I were transition team co-chairs for arts, culture, and tourism. We discovered that the way to get business done was to eat, you know? And so we staged a number of breakfasts and lunch meetings, though you all know. So we hope that these brown bag crossroads will be a family gathering. And please join me in welcoming Ann Ozeldek and OpenStage to the festival.
I love to say this. I ran into August Wilson 3 times randomly. I don't know, we were meant to meet, I guess. He's a distinguished Pennsylvanian, but more importantly, he's one of the finest playwrights of the 20th century. And he was born in Pittsburgh and has written a series of 10 plays, each of which deals with a separate decade of the 20th century and the various issues faced by migrating sons and daughters and granddaughters and great-granddaughters of ex-slaves. And so Wilson, I think, is opening all our eyes to an incredible culture, its triumphs and tribulations. And the guy we're going to meet today is a baseball player who never made it to the majors. So I'd like to introduce the cast of Fences and our first spokesperson, Leonard Dozier.
I'm going to raise this a little bit. name is Leonard Dozier. I'm an actor at OpenStage of Harrisburg. Welcome to the world of August Wilson, a black Pennsylvanian who is regarded as one of the finest playwrights of our time. Today, my colleagues Sharia Ben and Jordan Payne and I will share some work from perhaps Wilson's finest play, which is Fences. Fences is the story of Troy Maxson, a 53-year-old sanitation worker, rubbish collector living in Pittsburgh in 1957. Too old to play baseball and to actually crack its color line, he actually has struggled to make a place for himself. And so he decides to migrate to the city of Pittsburgh, which at that time was very, very entrenched in discrimination and segregation. And in fact, Troy struggles to crack the barrels, if you will, of segregated professional baseball. So that's the story of Troy Maxson. He marries, he buys a home, he has two sons, Corey and Lyons, and he also commits adultery, and his infidelity to Rose by the end of the play leads to a baby outside the marriage. Here's what Wilson has to say about the play. He says, Fences actually started with Troy standing in the yard with a baby in his arms. And the first line I wrote was, I'm standing out here in the yard with my daughter in my arms. She's just a wee bitty little old thing. She don't understand about grown-ups' business. And she ain't got no mama. I didn't know who he was talking to. I said, okay, he's talking to his wife. Okay, why is he telling her this? These were the words of Wilson. Right now I'm going to introduce Sharia Ben, who plays my wife, Rose, in the piece.
Good afternoon. Thank you. I'm excited to be here with you, and can you hear me there? Okay. I'm excited to be here with you and to present this little clip of Fences. And August Wilson, he is just an extraordinary contemporary playwright. And we're blessed that OpenStage in our community has August Wilson on stage here. Wilson has deliberately set fences in 1957, the year Hank Aaron led the Milwaukee Braves to the World Series, beating the New York Giants. Haunted by opportunities that were denied to him, Troy refuses to allow his talented son, Corey, to pursue a career in college football. So we would like to present to you a couple of scenes from Fences.
Can I ask you a question?
What the hell you want to ask me? Mr. Stewicki, the one you got the questions for.
How come you ain't never like me?
Liked you? Who the hell say I got to like you? What law is there to say I got to like you? Want to stand up in my face and ask me a damn fool-ass question like that, talking about liking somebody? Come here, boy, when I talk to you. Straighten up, goddammit. I asked you a question. What law is there to say I got to like you?
None.
Well, all right then, don't you eat every day? Answer me when I talk to you, boy. Don't you eat every day?
Yeah.
Nigga, as long as you're in my house, you use a sir on the end of that when you talk to me.
Yes, sir.
Don't you eat every day?
Yes, sir.
Got a roof over your head?
Yes, sir.
Got clothes on your back?
Yes, sir.
Why you think that is?
Because of you.
Hell, I know it's cause of me, but why you think that is?
Because you like me?
Like you. I go out of here every morning, bust my butt, putting up with them crackers every day because I like you. You're about the biggest fool I ever saw. It's my job. It's my responsibility, you understand? A man got to take care of his family. You live in my house, sleep your behind on my bedclothes, fill up your belly with my food because you're my son. You're my flesh and blood. Not because I like you, but because I owe a duty to you. I owe you a responsibility. Look, let's get something straight. before we go along any further. I ain't got to like you. Mr. Rand don't pay me my money come payday because he like me. He give me because he owe me. I didn't give you everything I had to give you. I give you your life. Me and your mama worked that out between us. And liking the old black ass wasn't part of the bargain. So don't you try and go through life worrying about whether somebody liked you or not. You best be making sure they done the right by you. You understand what I'm saying, boy?
Yes, sir.
Get the hell out of my face and get on down to that A&P.
Troy, why don't you let the boy go on and play football? Ain't no harm in that. He's just trying to be like you with the sports.
I don't want him to be like me. I want him to move as far away from my life as he can. You're the only decent thing that ever happened to me. I wish him that, but I don't wish him a thing else for my life. I decided 17 years ago that boy wasn't getting involved in no sports. Not after what they did to me in sports.
Why don't you admit you was too old to play in the major leagues for once? Admit that.
What you mean too old? Don't come telling me I was too old. I just wasn't the right color. Hell, I'm 53 years old and can do better than Selkirk's 269 right now.
How was you gonna play baseball when you was over 40? Sometimes I just can't get no sense out of you.
I got good sense, woman. I got sense enough not to let my boy get hurt over playing no sports. You've been mothering that boy too much, worried about whether people like him.
Everything that boy do, he do for you. He just wanna hear you say, "Good job, son." That's all.
Rose, I ain't got time for all that. He's alive, he's healthy. He gotta make his own way. I made mine. Ain't nobody gonna hold his hand out there in the world.
Times have changed since you was young, Troy. People change. The world changing all around you, and you can't see it.
Woman, I do the best I can. Come in here every Friday carrying a sack of potatoes and a bucket of lard. You all line up at the door with your hands out. I give you the lint from my pocket. I give you my sweat and my blood. I ain't got no tears. I done spent them. We go up there at night, fall down on you and try to blast a hole into bed. Get up Monday morning, find my lunch on the table, go out, make my way. Find my strength to carry me on through to the next fight. That's all I got, Rose. That's all I got to give. Can't give nothing else. Ain't seen you. Just a quick setup for the next piece. The next piece is, at this point, Troy has the baby. And I think the scene will tell itself, but at this point, Troy does have the baby. He's pretty much made the announcement to Rose that he's had the affair, and of course now the baby is in existence, so that's what you'll see here in a scene from Act 2. Rose, I'm standing here with my daughter. She ain't but a wee bitty little old thing. She don't know nothing about grown-ups business. She's innocent. And she ain't got no mama.
What you telling me for, Troy?
Well, I guess we'll just sit out here on the porch. Man gotta do what's right for him. I ain't sorry for nothing I done. Felt right in my heart. What you smiling at? Your daddy's a big old man. Got these great big old hands. Sometimes he's scared. And right now, your daddy's scared because we ain't got no home. Oh, I've been homeless before. I ain't had no little baby with me. But I've been homeless. Sometimes you just be out there by your lonesome. You see one of them trains coming by, and Just kind of go like this. Please, Mr. Engineer, let a man ride the line. Please, Mr. Engineer, let a man ride the line. I ain't got no ticket. Please let me ride the line. This is my daughter, Rose. This is my flesh and blood. I can't deny her any more than I deny them boys. You and them boys is my family. You and them boys and this child is all I got in the world. So I guess what I'm saying is, I'd appreciate it if you can help me take care of it.
Okay, Troy. I'll take care of your baby for you. Because like you said, she innocent. And you can't visit the sins of the father upon a child. From right now, this child's got a mother. But you a womanless man.
I've seen. We're back to him.
Any response to this play? Any questions? Any discussion? How did it make you feel watching it?
It's an intense piece, very much is. Very, very intense piece.
August Wilson felt that the biggest mistake that African Americans made was leaving the South. That's a point of discussion for all of us. Why do you think he said that? Sharia, do you have any, I mean, you are pretty knowledgeable about Wilson, and so are you, Leonard. Got any comments about that?
August felt that with the Great Migration, African Americans were coming to areas and communities of opportunity. But in reality, when the migration to the north happened, African Americans found themselves in destitute positions and situations, still unable to get employment, competing, racism, still very present, but everything was subliminal, it was undercover. And August felt that in the South, it was open. You knew where you stood. You knew what the boundaries were. You knew what the lines were. And as a people, we split families. We injured ourselves moving to the north. So that's a lot of what August is building his plays around it and communicating to us. We didn't gain what we thought we would gain. And in the end, we're still an enslaved and oppressed people.
Very much. And I think to add to that, I think August, one of the reasons August held that belief was that he felt that ultimately the North represented this sense of false hope. There's a sense of false hope. You know, we were now in an industrialized 20th century, and so there's this hope that by migrating north for African Americans that you can actually become part of this industrial scene. And that, you know, you certainly didn't have the Jim Crow ensconced the way in which you had it in the South. So now there's this false hope of opportunity in the North that really isn't the case. Whereas, as Sharia pointed out, in the South, you kind of know your boundaries. Yeah, maybe there isn't this false hope, but you're going to actually make better, I think, sense of your reality. You're going to be able to withstand what your reality currently is. And of course, in the South, I mean, this is where slavery derived, and so the plantation system and the sharecropping system, and so I think also August was very aware that that was, as African Americans, our skill sets served us best in the South. So coming north, you had to be educated. Many couldn't read. Until really Brown versus Board of Education in 1954. I mean, you really had this very segregated school system in which African Americans were not getting the best of education. So how in the world could you actually go to the north, much more educated part of the country, where it's industrialized and actually have a chance to survive? So I think all of that led to August Wilson's belief.
I'm intrigued by the relationship that he expresses between the father and the son. And he clearly, I mean, you expressed that anger in the father quite powerfully. But I wonder if August Wilson had any ideas about whether that was helping the young man strengthen himself for real life, or if he thought it was really handicapping him because he didn't get the love and nurturing he needed.
It's twofold.
Yeah. I mean, it could work both ways. I guess that's subjective, I think, because at the end of the play, Corey shows up and he is a very bitter, hardened person as a direct result of his relationship with his father and the fact that it was so strained. But by the end of the play, he is able to come to terms with the fact that it was, tough love, so to speak, and that, yes, his father, was somewhat rough with him, but he did love him, and, he's able to, accept that fact. So, I guess that all of that really strengthens the son in the end.
Yeah. And I also think, too, that it's, obviously, Troy's bitterness is certainly starting to gather full steam. I mean, he's bitter about not having had the opportunity. And there's a reference within the play to him being as great as the Babe Ruths and the Josh Gibson. So he certainly could have been a Jackie Robinson. He certainly could have been a Hank Aaron at that time, Willie Mays, and so forth and so on. But he didn't get that chance. So he's also bitter. And I think combined with that bitterness is also the fact that he does not want Corey to go through those same battles and hurdles.
And August does a wonderful thing. He interjects the woman who translates and is the intermediary and who gives the sense of nurture and understanding to Corey and to Troy, and does what women do best: bring it together and strengthen it and make it work within the confines that she has. So I think that's, again, one of the beauties of August and his stories. He brings all the pieces together.
And you play that role so beautifully.
Thank you.
I think that August Wilson makes a very interesting choice in having baseball be Troy's history, being America's pastime and kind of this ideal thing of breaking over the color barriers. And I wonder if there were any other sport or passion that the main character could have had that would have been as interesting and would have attracted people or resonated with people the same way. And so I just wondering what he felt the importance of baseball being in history and added to.
Well, I'll comment a little bit on that. I think, obviously, symbolically, it's just the Negro Leagues. I mean, the Negro League serves as the umbrella because, there were just some fantastic players. And in fact, if you do a little research on the Negro Leagues, some of the teams were, in fact, beating some of the major league teams at that time in intramural games and such. So the Negro Leagues was certainly, I think, one of the great disappointments for African Americans, particularly those players that played. And I know we have someone here that can I believe, that can speak on this a little bit more profoundly. But you know, I'm just broaching the topic here. I think for Wilson, it really is. The Negro Leagues is certainly one of our most disappointing contributions in some ways. Because I mean, yes, it's a wonderful contribution in terms of the players that we had in the history, but it's also disappointing in that many of these players never got their opportunity. Okay. Any thoughts?
You've talked about Wilson not wanting to have a sense of false hope and seeing the Great Migration as potentially projecting that. You've talked about him as perhaps being disappointed by the legacy of the Negro Leagues. Am I wrong to have seen hope in the play? I thought in the sins of the fathers not being visited on the child and the ability to look towards the future to be a very hopeful message, and that seems to counteract a little bit of what you described as Wilson's own philosophy. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I mean, that is obviously quite a bit of a dichotomy in some ways, because yes, I mean, I'm speaking of the hope I think that in some ways it represents, but also I think Troy as a character is, he's in a very, very paradoxical way, he's both hopeless and hopeful, which makes it very interesting to play him. He's both hopeless and hopeful, and there are numerous instances in the play where you see that hope come forth, particularly with his job, and particularly with what he crusades to do at work. So that represents an opportunity of hope for him, but then he's still obviously quite bitter about the Negro Leagues and his chances. And also, there's this recurring theme of death in the play. I'm not going to expound on it too much, but there's this recurring theme of death. And I think that also represents for Troy that time is ticking. There's a sense of time ticking. Time ticking. And I think, you know, the older you get, and I think when any of us, when we think about anything we failed at, that we wanted to do, any dreams that we've had, and the more time goes by, you go, man, you know, time is slipping away. And I think the bitterness actually creeps in even more, because time is actually, you know, being added. So I think there's, you know, it certainly represents both the dichotomy of being hopeful and hopeless. And it is, that makes Troy an interesting character. It makes him one of the great American characters because of that.
Yes.
Yeah, and just one thing on the Negro Leagues, the point that the mayor made, the dichotomy. Jackie was before Martin, before Rosa, yes, before the integration of the U.S. Army. So baseball was at the forefront. And I'm sure August, and he celebrates it when he mentions West Covington and Hank Aaron later on. So it's a triumphant story too. Absolutely,
that's a great point. I think he thought it was foremost, you know, a foremost achievement, of course, in many ways. That's a great point. Thank you for adding that.
I think aside from the baseball idea, I grew up in a family like that. My mother was very hard person. I didn't realize until I grew up and discovered some things later that she had a very terrible life, and she was trying to protect me from the pain that comes with life. She was trying to make me tough, she said. Mm-hmm. And my sister, and she wondered why we were so sensitive, you know, because I remember saying to people, the person I went to high school with said, I saw your mother, she's really proud of you. And I said, really?
Yes.
You know, I thought she wouldn't like me.
Yes. And it's, you could almost say the story of our life, the African American community. And when you're referring to hope, I feel that August allows us to see this story, but really the hope is in the audience, because these stories, his plays are launching pads for dialogue and for growth, and that's where the real hope is. One, that you understand the African American experience, across all races and culture. Two, as a people, we embrace This is who we are, how we got to be where we are, and how we will move forward. But as a community at large, where do we go from here? Now that our eyes have been opened and our hearts have been opened, that's where the true hope is. What are we going to do with this?
And I'm going to piggyback on that. Excuse me, Joyce. This is an example of what arts and culture can do for a community. Sure, we've got to fix the broken street light. Sure, we've got to work on crime, all that stuff that I know, Mayor, you're hearing from the community. But this is, I think, equally important, to have this kind of open dialogue, talking about tough subjects with the diversity that I see in this room. I'd like to quadruple it, quintuple it, but this is the gift we bring to you. So we're hoping that you value what we do, and I'd like to thank the mayor especially for making it happen, and Joyce, and Lenwood, and everybody in this new government, for allowing this kind of forum in this very special month. Personally, I would be happy if Black History Month went away and every month would be celebrated. But we're not quite there yet, so I just had to do that commercial, okay? and give my best big thanks to Mr. Papafus, to our new mayor.
Don't know when they can see the play. You can continue the commercial.
We have all kinds of information at the desk. We open tonight, so these actors are with us on their opening night. They're going to all go home and go to bed. This is this is a workout for them, right. Believe me. There's fighting and carrying on. It's also funny. First scene, hysterically funny. Troy is a hot mess. He's really funny. He's a wonderful character. And so it opens tonight, goes through March 1st. We have discount tickets for all city employees.
I'll repeat that. Discount tickets for all city employees.
So I've scattered them throughout the area. There's some on the desk over there. There's a code. All you have to do is call, enter your code. On the 16th of this month, Ted Knorr and Cale Jackson and the experts on the Negro League are going to be doing a panel discussion about the league itself. We're having a display in our lobby. We do this all the time because we believe at OpenStage that not just doing a play, it's not about just doing it. It's about impacting the lives of everybody who comes to see it or even hears about it. So that'll be a cool thing on the 16th, right after the play. Please come. If you have a financial issue, come anyway. Bring the children. Now, you hear some language that may be a little inappropriate at noon in City Hall, but sorry. So maybe it's not for anybody under 14 or so, but we're bringing SciTech High in. They're going to see it, and it's just awesome. So, Lenny.
Thank you so much, Ann. Take a moment, let's look around. Friends, have a seat. You are welcome. Thank you all. Take a moment and look around at the wonderful changes that are occurring in the Atrium Gallery. Thanks to our curator, Ms. Nancy Mendes, and our consultant for landmarks, monuments, and archives and exhibitions, Jeff Stewart. They've been working very, very hard. A year ago, I asked SciTech students, Harrisburg High School students, and CASA students if they could identify 4 African Americans to go on Mount Rushmore. Who would they recommend? They suggested Frederick Douglass, Rosa Parks, Nelson Mandela, and Martin Luther King. And we actually superimposed at Harrisburg High School Mount Rushmore on the wall, and while actors portrayed those 4 characters, Sharia Ben portrayed Rosa Parks, students from those 3 schools got to ask those people about their lives and their commonality as a wonderful young artist last name Murray of the Wendell Murray family, sketched and superimposed the images. Rosa Parks wanted to be superimposed over Thomas Jefferson so she could ask him a few questions about the, 3/10 law and 3/5 law. And she wanted to quiz him on Sally Hemings, Frederick Douglass wanted to be superimposed over Teddy Roosevelt to thank him for inviting Booker T. Washington to the White House. Nelson Mandela wanted to be superimposed there so he could look out across the youth of America who had embraced the children of Soweto in the Black and I'm Proud movement. Martin Luther King wanted to talk to Abraham Lincoln and to be superimposed. We have the wonderful opportunity to hang Corbett Murray's work over the atrium today. In the mayor's first meeting with the city council, a woman stood up and said, "When are you going to restore Martin Luther King to the lobby? As you exit, please look at the bust of a very important artist, Clarence Oliver Legrand, who created the bust of Martin Luther King that we have restored." Now that bust was in my office upstairs, and I went back to my staff and said, "Somebody find me something of Martin Luther King." And the staff said, "Well, here, boss, we'll offer this up." It turned out to be the work of a really incredible area artist. And we discovered, in fact, that Mayor Reed had made February 3rd Legrand Day. So we started this week by honoring him. As you pass in and out, you'll see his bust. The mayor ran on the campaign of Together We Can, and we stepped up by saying, yes, we will. And so we wanted to feature 150 faces that changed Harrisburg. And in the cases behind you, you'll see many of the people in this room, actually, its faces are in that case. But 150 public reasons for change agents. Behind us is an exhibit of art by Harrisburg High School students who were asked to interpret Martin Luther King and the Civil Rights Movement. This art will hang behind the mayor and his press conferences from February and March in our changing exhibitions. And to my right, just behind you, is our children's gallery. This gallery will always be dedicated to the work for, by, and about children. As we are Parks and Recreation, recreation is a very important part of our lives. We learn by play, and so the Historic Society of Dauphin County has loaned us this very wonderful children's toy exhibition. On the galleries on 2, 3, and 4, Nancy and Jeb are building and mounting an exhibition on the history of Harrisburg. It will be on all 3 gallery levels. We encourage you to go up and look at that exhibition today. We're getting the mayor's level done first. We'll then move to 3 and the 4. But it's a wonderful 150-year story. The shows will change every about 8 weeks so come and look at the changing exhibitions in the gallery. You are the first. Thank you very much for coming out today. I have to always thank the mayor for allowing me to be 1 part blue and 1 part catalytic agent as we change who owns the city's hall. Thank you very much.